It's episode number 45. Hey, that rhymed, didn't it, Bear? We are live as episode number 45. And from ordinary to extraordinary, where we meet here every single week to talk about the psychology, first and foremost, and the strategies, important as well, of ultimate performance, genius, greatness, bringing that greatness to the world, making an impact, leaving a legacy. And so we are in the midst of a series here called The Strategies of Titans. And this is strategy number 5. So if you're just joining for the first time, you're 4 strategies behind. Not to worry, I got you covered. But before I tell you how I've got you covered, as we're waiting for people to get in here, please do me a solid. It means the world to me. If you're on Facebook, just right down below here, say hello and tell me who you are, where you're coming in from. If you're on Instagram, I don't think you can do that, but I love your comments and I love your feedback. Twitter, I don't think you can do that either. Can they tell me? Yeah. So Twitter, you can do the same thing, and I'll check it out after the fact. I don't have an opportunity during this live cast, during this show, to answer your questions live because we have too much content to cover. But my promise to you is that I come back every single week, and those of you who are here regularly will back me up on this. I'll answer your questions. If you want me to flesh out a certain topic more deeply, I'm really happy and able to do that for you. So just weigh in, tell me who you are, where you're from, say hello. This community is growing around the world, around the globe, and I'm really, really stoked about that. And you're a big part of it. And here's how you can be a part. If you're on Twitter, you can retweet this to your tribe and your followers. If it makes a difference for you in your life, then please help me, help you, help those you love and care about. If you're on Facebook, I tell you every week, it's right down here. I can see it. Can you see it? It says share. It's really easy. It's just like this, right? You just click that button and you share it, and it goes out to the people you're connected with, and you can help me, help you, help them, right? If you care about them, we're talking about strategies of Titans here, and we're going to talk about something called feedback loops today, which is uber important to you having your own ultimate performance and you becoming a Titan. And I know you're interested in that or you wouldn't be here. Now, a couple of housekeeping things. If you're behind on episodes, I got you covered. Just go to jamesray.com/live-cast. And we have chronicled, this is episode 45, so there's 44 episodes there about a variety of topics. And we keep them in a library, and it's absolutely free for you and for your own growth and development. So visit jamesray.com/live-cast and catch up, or find some of the past episodes and watch them again, because repetition is the second law of learning and transformation. You learn how to tie your shoes, you learn how to drive a car, you learn how to brush your teeth, you learn everything through repetition. All right, secondly, there's a link on Facebook right up here. All right. If you haven't yet clicked that link, just click it. All right. And just click it. And what it's going to allow you to do is to order an advanced copy of my brand new book, which is coming out in the near future, called Redemption: The Price of Leadership in Both Life and Business. And this is going to chronicle for you. This book is really a lifetime of experience, and more so focused the last 8 years of my life and what I've learned about the ups and the downs and the ins and the outs and the trials and the tribulations, and how to grow and have resilience and move through those things. And I'd love for you to get a copy of it in your hands, because I really, really have the deepest intention that it will transform your life and help you through whatever trials or challenges you might have. And we all have them, let's just face it. So click the link on Facebook right here. And the other thing you can do is it'll enter you into a contest where you can have a live consult, 2-hour consult with me. And I'm going to pay your airline ticket. Someone's going to come here to Hollywood, and we're going to go to my favorite Italian restaurant. It has some nice wine and some nice food, and talk about life and talk about business and talk about your own growth and development and whatever challenges or questions you may have. It's going to be a fabulous time. I'm looking forward to meeting one of you, maybe it's you, and you can enter the contest and join me here in Hollywood. Now, if you're on Instagram, it's in my bio. The link is in my bio. Just go there and click, and you can get an advanced copy of my book. Someone was asking me this morning, hey, James, when's it coming out in the UK? Well, on Instagram, they were asking me, well, you can get it in my bio. Just go to my bio and click the link, and you can get your own signed copy reserved, and you can also join the contest, all right? If you're on Twitter, same thing. It's right above me here. Click the link. Grab your own copy of Redemption, The Price of Leadership in both life and business. Now, last thing before we dive into the content is I want to give a shout out to all of you who shared last week and help us spread this message and this mission and build this community around the globe. Lana Monday, thank you. L.A. Carter, Karen Elizabeth Zarvogel, that's a new name. Hey, Karen, thank you for doing that. I'm really hopeful that you're here now. Candace Webb, J.O.T. Aurora, and by the way, all of you who are repeat names, I don't appreciate you any less. I appreciate you more because you continually do it, and I really, really thank you for that. Nancy Winters, Anthony and Andrew Rogers, Nora Jones, Tracy Egger, Francisco Javier Maurici. I think, Francisco, you weren't on the list last week, buddy, and I'm going to come over there and we're going to have a talk, all right? But no, thanks for sharing. Marco Cito, glad to see you back. Sean Morse, Paul Campbell, Kaul Mahajan. I've seen that name a couple of times. Sandy Arango, Pranav Hanreo. Pranav. I missed you in the Prometheus apprenticeship call last week. I showed up, bud. Where were you? Come on, man. Let's go. Let's change the world. Nicola Jenkins, Russ Litow, Tommy Allen Rains, Nelly Carazone. Have we seen Nelly Carazone before? One time. Nelly, thank you. Sean Morse, Sunstar Goal Setting. That's Kristen. Thank you for sharing. And keep it up. It's just right down here, all right? It's right down here, and it's really easy to make an impact on the people's lives that you're connected with. Feedback loops. Strategy number 5 of Titans. And let me just say this. Put this one in your notes. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. I was talking to a good friend of mine, a multi-business, million business owner. I didn't say that very elegantly. Let me try that. Let me have a do-over. This is live. A multi-million-dollar business owner, right? And just this week, and he said, James, I had to laugh because breakfast is my very favorite meal of the entire day. I said, you know, Renee, for me, it is too. And he said, when I saw your quote posted on social media, feedback is the breakfast of champions, I had to laugh. But it is. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. Let me tell you, if you ever even hope or pray to reach your own level of ultimate performance, to raise yourself to the level of Titan, giant in your particular industry and business, you absolutely must be open to feedback. In fact, it's more than that. You're not just open to feedback, you must actively seek it out on a regular basis. Now, let's talk about this for a second, because obviously you have to be selective in who you get feedback from. Does that make sense to you? You know, I was talking to my members of my Prometheus Academy for Life and Business Acceleration just 3 days ago, I think. And I said, look, you got to be selective at who you listen to. And so please put this in your notes. This is an incredible point, and it's very, very critical for your development, advancement, and growth, and for you to perform at Titan levels. Choose who you're going to listen to. You got to choose who you're going to listen to. You see, and it doesn't have to be me, by the way, all right? Choose who you're going to listen to. This is critical because we're inundated in today's world with information from every single angle. How many countless thousands, tens of thousands, if not more people are doing live casts on Facebook. How much media is there out there on the regular old time media? How much is there on Twitter? We're inundated with, so-called experts attempting to tell you what is right for you. And you got to choose who you're going to listen to. Now, I want you to think about this for a second. If you were to go to Martha Stewart, really successful lady, right, and ask her what it takes to be successful, she would give you an entirely different answer than what Oprah would give you. Right? If you were to ask Elon Musk, his answer would be very, very different from Sheldon Adelson's. If you don't know who Sheldon is, he's one of the richest men in the world. He's worth about 10 times more than Donald Trump and Richard Branson combined. I had dinner with him years ago. And his answer would be very different from Elon Musk. Or if you were to ask Jeff Bezos, his answer would be completely different. From a strategic standpoint, yes. There are fundamental philosophical ways that all successful people, all titans approach what they do in life. And that's what we're exploring here. Remember, I've told you numerous times, and you want to write this down again. Your psychology always drives your strategy. You get that? Your psychology, or we could say mindset, always drives your strategy. So we start with psychology because you've got to get your mind right, and then we follow up with strategy. People who just jump into strategies don't follow through. Things don't work for them. They pick the wrong strategies. Everyone who's out here running around trying to find a tactic is going about it the wrong way. But because strategies and tactics are varied, depending upon your own unique gifts and genius. Does that make sense to you? And so you've got to choose who you're going to listen to. And then once you choose them, here's something that always, just blows me away. People say, okay, I'm going to listen to so-and-so, or I'm going to hire them as a coach, or they're my mentor. And then they don't listen. And they don't do what their so-called coach and mentor advises them to do. You've got to, number one, choose who you're going to listen to, and then you got to do it. If you're listening to everybody all over the place, and God knows everything's all over the place here in social media, if you're listening to everybody all over the place, you're going to be in chaos, and the chaotic mind is not powerful. Are you with me on this? The mind in chaos doesn't make a decision. The mind in chaos is fragmented. It's not integrated and whole, W-H-O-L-E, and it's not in its power. You've got to be in your power with an integrated mind and a congruent thought, feeling, action, and then you're stepping into your power. And so you got to choose who you're going to listen to. If you listen to everybody, you'll end up doing nothing. You'll be so confused that you won't know where to begin. And so once you choose who you're going to listen to, and again, it doesn't have to be me. Choose who you're going to listen to. One person. James, just one? Yeah, one person. And take it to the limit. So that's what you do, is you choose who you're going to listen to, and this is my experience. You do exactly what they encourage you to do until you find it doesn't work. People have said to me, I'm using this and this and this, and it doesn't work. Well, it doesn't work because you're not working it, right? You got to do exactly what you're supposed to do in the way you're supposed to do it. And then number two, so you do it until it doesn't work, or until you take it to the limit. Number two, sometimes you will outgrow your coaches and mentors. If you're growing and evolving, you might reach a point where you outgrow your coaches and mentors, and it's time to find a new one. But until you take your current coach or mentor to the limit, and this is what I've done, I've had a myriad of coaches and mentors, and I've always taken them to the limit, and I've done exactly what they've advised me to do. I don't argue with them. I don't try to tell them how much I know, for God's sakes. I just listen. Your ears are twice as intelligent as your mouth is, right? The confused and chaotic mind is fragmented. It's not fully in its power. Now, again, this is installment number 6 in the strategies of Titans. I took a little tangent there. What else is new? But let's come back because we're talking about feedback. Feedback. Now, there's a lot of research on something that's called feedback loops. Right? What's a feedback loop? Well, a feedback loop. Can you hear that? Oh my God. My kombucha tea got a little feisty there on me. Thank you, Bear. If you've never drank kombucha, it is combustible. Anyway. But the body loves it. A lot of probiotics. A feedback loop is what happens between cause and effect. The loop itself is the time span that transpires between cause and effect. It's the time span that transpires between a certain output and the input that comes back. You with me on this? And so there's a lot of research on feedback loops. And remember, all the strategies of Titans are not my ideas. They're based upon research. They're based upon what it takes to get into the flow state. And that goes back to my good friend Mihai Csikszentmihalyi and his work, who we've talked about before. If you're not familiar, you need to catch up on the previous episodes. But basically, what we want to do is we want to shorten that feedback loop as much as possible. In other words, shorten the time between output and input, or cause and effect, as much as possible. Ideally, it should be almost instantaneous. Not always possible, but ideally it should be almost instantaneous. The loop, in other words, should be really, really short. Now, pay attention. Let me give you an example. Years ago in Garden Grove, California, they were perplexed with a common problem in America. People are speeding in school zones. If you do that, you're not very smart, all right, and you're just not a very nice person. So stop it, all right? Just stop that shit right now. Because those are kids, for God's sakes, all right? So don't speed in school zones, really. But people do it all the time, and it's dangerous. And, our future generations could be harmed, and you could end up in a heap of hot water. So not a good thing. But nonetheless, they tried everything in Garden Grove to get it to stop. Right? They had bright neon signs with school zone and the speed limit. Didn't work. Right through. They had police officers sitting with, radar guns and writing tickets, and people could see them writing tickets, and there's didn't work. And they're perplexed. They don't know what they can do, and this is a common problem. And so what someone brilliantly came up with was the idea to give a feedback loop to the driver. Now, I don't think they called it that, but that's what it was. And I know you've seen this. They installed a radar gun on a speed limit sign, and it clocks your speed, and it tells you how fast you're going right away. You've seen these, right? So it says, it's a school zone, and it says, hey, you're going 57 miles an hour, retard. So put on the brakes, right? And so the minute they did that, and here's what's interesting, is people started to slow down. Feedback loops drive action. They drive results. You get that? Remember that. Feedback loops drive action and they drive results. There was no police officer to write tickets. There was no retribution, no punishment whatsoever, but behavior changed. Oh my God. You see, boom, 55. Boom, oh, brake. break, right? Because I got a feedback of what was happening and I instantaneously changed my behavior. There's no punishment. Now here's something interesting about us as a human species. The greatest reward or the ultimate reward or punishment that we can ever receive in life is not something that comes from an outside source. Get this. This is really a game changer when you do. The greatest reward or punishment we can ever receive doesn't come from outside. It really doesn't. It comes from inside. It comes from how you feel inside. Now, if you just check your own life, you'll know this is true. The greatest reward or punishment is how you feel inside. And so behavior changed because they got this feedback loop and they realized, oh my God, I feel like a heel loser because I'm speeding where kids are. God, I got to change, right? No tickets, no neon signs, nothing else worked. You with me on this? Now, let's think about this for a second. Let's continue with this driving metaphor because we can look down at our speedometer anytime. But over time, you see your unconscious mind drives the body. You get that? Your unconscious drives the body. And so that's an important point to understand as well. And we start to drive unconsciously. And when we first start driving, we have to think about it a lot, especially if we're driving a standard, right? We have to think about it a lot, but then at some point in time, it just drops down into your beloved unconscious, and you don't think about it anymore. I mean, some people are texting, and they're talking on the phone, and they're listening to music, and, fantasizing, doing whatever the hell, and they're still driving. When you first start, you're like, right? You remember this? It's like, oh my God, hope I don't get stopped on a hill. And so there's a couple key principles here. We can look down at the speedometer any moment that we're driving, but we don't. We get caught up in other things. We don't look. And so, first of all, this whole feedback loop is really critical to understand because it drove behavior in the school zone. The second thing to understand is that you've got to habituate certain behaviors into your unconscious. Psychology calls this automaticity, big college word, automaticity. You have to move certain behaviors into your unconscious, especially when, and I'm talking about productive behaviors now, so you don't have to think about them anymore. You have to think about them to get them there, but once you get them there, they just happen. They become part of you, right? We don't take time to pause and check our speed, particularly when we're in a rush to get somewhere. Now, I don't know about you, but nothing makes me check my speedometer any more quickly than seeing a police officer's car, a couple lights in my rearview mirror, right? Have you had this happen? Or I see a police officer's car coming from the other direction. I see the car, I see the lights in my rearview mirror, automatically, speedometer, brake. Feedback loop. Feedback loop. And sometimes I'm going the speed limit. Sometimes. And even when I'm going the speed limit, my unconscious mind runs the body, right? And so conscious mind goes lights, unconscious goes, oh my God, brake, eyes go boom, speedometer. It's a feedback loop. You with me so far? I've given you a couple of great examples. Now here's something else for your notes. Knowing what we've just learned, external triggers in your environment placed in the right places can drive behavior, both productive and counterproductive. Did you get that? External triggers in your environment can drive behavior, both productive and counterproductive. And so knowing this, it's a feedback loop. If you come into my office, I've got external triggers all around my office. I just have to look at them and it reminds me of something that's important to me. I have to look at something and it reminds me of a particular goal and intention I have, or I have to touch something and I've hardwired my neurology to be reminded constantly, being reminded, triggered, feedback loop to keep me on course, because there's all kinds of things in this world, God knows, that are knocking you off course. Right? Go back to Garden Grove. Radar gun, flashing speed, brake. Right? Feedback drives behavior. Now, let me give you one more example. Kobe Bryant. When Kobe Bryant was chosen to go to the Olympic basketball team in 2012, he was already Kobe Bryant. And if you've been around my teachings for a while, you've heard me talk about this example, because I'm really impressed with Kobe Bryant. If you know anything about Kobe, his work ethic was off the chain. And that, if you know anything about me, it probably doesn't surprise you that someone impresses me whose work ethic is off the chain, because I pride myself in my work ethic being off the chain. And Kobe Bryant was already Kobe Bryant. He was already a Titan. And yet, Titans don't rest on their laurels. Leaders are constantly raising the bar. And so he's going to the Olympics in 2012, and here was his daily routine. He got up at 4 a.m. Oh, I love that time. Me and Kobe, man, two of the very, 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 very few people in the 4 a.m. club, right? I challenge a lot of my Prometheans and my one-on-one clients to get up at the 4 a.m. club, and boy, a lot of them just really don't like me for that. But let me tell you something, it's God's hour. Right? In the traditions, many of the traditions, they say the time between 4 a.m. and 6 a.m. is God's time. Now, realistically, it's all God's time, right? But I believe they say that because it's quiet, because there's not as much chaos in the universe, because nobody's going to get up, right? Nobody wants to get up. The 4 a.m. club, I get more done between 4 and noon. I've already got an 8-hour day in by the time it's 12 o'clock. Right? My objective is to get more accomplished between 4 and noon than most people get accomplished in a week. I don't always get there. But see, I have my quiet time. I have my focus time. I drop into the flow state. And man, nobody or nothing's interrupting me. Ga-bang, ga-bang, ga-bang. It's a beautiful thing. Anyway, Kobe Bryant. By 4:30, he was running wind sprints. For an hour, from 4:30 to 5:30, every single day prior to the 2012 Olympics. He ran wind sprints from 4:30 to 5:30. And then he went straight to the gym. And from 6 to 7 a.m., he lifted weights. Now, I don't know this for a fact, but I'm guessing that a lot of his teammates were just dragging their tired butts out of bed around this time. He's already got an hour of wind sprints and an hour of weightlifting, and they're getting up between 6 and 7 like most people do. Let me tell you something. When your life is inspired, when you're totally committed to something bigger than your own whiny little personal ego needs, you don't have time to lay around, and go to Mattress University. No, you got to get up and get at it. You got to put mind over mattress, and you get up and get at it because you got a lot of things to get done. Someone sent me a message on one of my posts on Instagram this week and said, "James, do you ever sleep?" I said, "Yeah, 6 hours a night, every single night with very few exceptions." I think if you sleep more than 6 hours a night, you need to sleep faster. Right? Because 6 hours gives me 18 hours every day to fulfill my purpose, to do something meaningful. So now Kobe lifts from 6 to 7, and then here's where feedback loops come in for Kobe. Every single day prior to the 2012 Olympics, from 7 a.m. to 11 a.m., 4 hours, his objective was to shoot 800 jump shots. 800 jump shots every single day prior to the Olympics, between 7 a.m. and 11. After running wind sprints for an hour and after lifting weights for an hour, he is going to shoot 800 jump shots. Now, let's think about feedback loops and a jump shot. But let me just throw this in for your notes. Practice is not something you just do to become great. Practice is what you do when you're already great to become greater. You with me on this? Practice is something you do for the rest of your life. Again and again and again and again and again. Not just to become great and then you sit back on your laurels. Leaders never sit back on their laurels. As we already discussed, they're always raising the bar. Kobe's raising the bar. I'm already Kobe Bryant, one of the best basketball players in the entire world, but I'm going to the Olympics and I'm going to raise the bar. 800 jump shots. Now, I don't play basketball. I've seen basketball. I know what it is. But maybe you play it, but you've certainly seen it. Let's think about the structure of a jump shot. So you jump, shoot, bank, in. Okay, that worked. What's the feedback loop there? Remember the time between cause and effect. It's pretty quick. Jump, shoot, bank, in. All right, that's the first jump shot. Second jump shot. Jump, shoot, rim, miss. Oh, that didn't work. What was the difference between the first one and the second one? Let me do this again. Jump, shoot, swish. That really worked. Right? Feedback loop is really tight. 800 times. Every single day in a 4-hour period. Now, just to sum this story up and tell you a little bit more about Kobe, at 11, when he finishes 800 jump shots, that's when the rest of his team rolled in for practice. He'd already been at it for 7 hours. And that's what made him Kobe Bryant. He's still Kobe Bryant. He's obviously not playing anymore, but he's still Kobe Bryant. And we could argue, was he the greatest or was Michael Jordan the greatest? That's a really tough argument, right? Both of them had an incredible work ethic, and it's all about going all in. And here's another one for your notes. The quality, get this please, the quality of your practice determines the quality of your performance. And feedback loops is a big part of that, right? Because you want that feedback consistently and as near to instantaneously as possible. You see, here's one of the problems I find when I'm doing business consulting, is that people are setting so big, far out goals and visions for their entrepreneurial business or for their corporate business or whatever. And so therefore, we lose inspiration because it's a 5-year goal. It's a 5-year intention. And that means for 5 years, we have to keep ourselves up. And the first thing I do is I say, let's break it down into smaller measures. Yeah, have it out there, but now let's reverse engineer it all the way back to now, and let's break it down into small steps so we get feedback all along the way, and we can also celebrate all along the way. Does that make sense to you? And this is where great coaching comes into play. Not good coaching, great coaching. Because a great coach will not tell you what you want to hear. He or she will tell you what you need to hear to step into more fully your own greatness. A great coach is not going to make you feel better. He's going to make you be better. Right? Because one of the things I know is when you become better, you're automatically going to feel better. Does that make sense to you? And so you need great coaching. And, if I can help you there, go to my website. We have a lot of different options where you can work directly with me. A lot of different options. And all the greats have had coaches. All the greats have had coaches. This is nothing new. We're talking about Kobe Bryant. You know who his mentor was? His biggest, greatest mentor was Michael Jackson. Yeah, look it up. Michael Jackson didn't know shit about basketball, to my knowledge. He knew a lot about music and creativity, but Kobe Bryant said that Michael Jackson was his greatest life mentor because Michael Jackson taught him about life, and Michael Jackson taught him about perseverance, and Michael Jackson taught him about taking the hits and continuing to go, because a lot of people gave Kobe a tremendous amount of grief when he was young because they said he was monomaniacal. He was obsessed with basketball and he wasn't well-rounded. Let me tell you something. Well-rounded people do not become titans. If you try to be good at everything, you become good at nothing. Stephen Jobs had Andy Grove as his mentor, right? One of my heroes, Leonardo da Vinci, had Andrea del Verrocchio. And the list goes on. Choose who you're going to listen to. And then listen to them. And go all in. Don't be like the mediocre masses and listen to this and 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 this, as we've already discussed. The most recent research tells us that the average individual in today's world spends 50% of his or her day in distraction. Distraction. Picks up his or her, phone at least 8 times an hour. And is it any wonder why most are not even scratching the surface of their potential? So let me give you 4 strategies real quickly to wrap this up on feedback loops. Number 1, commit to your own greatness. Commit to becoming a titan in your industry. If you have no chance whatsoever of becoming great at what you're doing, then by all means, stop doing it. You're here to be great. And so choose your gifts and become great with them. No exit strategy, no good stories or excuses, all in, burn the boats, hunker down, grit it out. You're 100% in. Number 1, commit. Number 2, choose a great coach or mentor. As I've said, all the greats have had them. Jobs had them. Michelangelo had them. All the greats have had them. Number 3, seek out feedback from your coach. And shorten the loop as much as possible. Now, if you're thinking, you might be asking, or you might be thinking about, how can I shorten the loop between my coach and me and get the feedback loop shorter? Well, you have to spend as much time as humanly possible with your coach and mentor. You have to spend considerable time with your coach and mentor. Because if you don't spend considerable time with them, you're going to have a long feedback loop. Really long feedback loop. You got to shorten the loop. Shortened loops are more powerful. You get that? That's what we've been talking about here. Instantaneous feedback gives instantaneous results. Action, reaction. Cause and effect. Number 4, when you choose the person you're going to listen to, stay humble. I mean, seriously. I've had a lot of great coaches and mentors in my day. I've been really blessed. I've had business coaches and mentors. I've had spiritual coaches and mentors. I've had psychological coaches and mentors. I've had emotional coaches and mentors. I've had entrepreneurial coaches and mentors. I've had marketing coaches and mentors. I've had a lot of great teachers. And I've always left my ego at the door when I'm working with my teacher. You stay humble. Really? Your teacher doesn't need to hear everything you know. Stay humble. Stay grateful. Make sure you're communicating to your coach, to your mentor, how much you appreciate him or her investing their time. And you say, well, James, I'm paying them to work with me. Doesn't matter. They can have someone else pay them. For me, if I'm not working with the right person, I'll fire a client because some clients just ain't worth it. You ever had them? You can't pay me enough to work with certain people. Be grateful. Be appreciative. Constantly tell them how much you appreciate what they're doing for you and what you're learning from them. The human spirit needs that. Even your coach and mentor needs that. And be humble. Ask questions. Don't follow blindly. No. Never follow blindly. Ask a lot of questions. Be inquisitive. Be curious. But ask them in such a way that you have a humility and you have a respect and you bring it to them in a way that says, hey, I really just want to learn here. I'm not arguing with you. Do you know how many people have hired me and paid me really good money and then they want to argue with me? All right, I can't help you, right? I can't help you. I really want to and I'd love to, but I just can't because all you want to do is argue with me and tell me why you're right and I'm wrong. Okay, that's cool. If what you're doing is working for you, then just keep doing it. You got to be humble, you got to be grateful, and you got to be open. You got to make learning more important than being right. You got to be, as they said, as Jesus said, the Christian prophet, unless you become as children. As children, what are children? Are open-minded, they're inquisitive, they want to know. He said you'll never enter the kingdom. So, feedback loops. Hopefully I've given you some things around that and how to apply them into your life. Let me just ask you this question real quickly before we close here today. How many times did you have to touch a hot stove before you realized, I don't want to do that again? Right? Instantaneous feedback loop. No, we're not doing that again. Really instantaneous feedback loop. Look at your feedback loops. Find the person you're going to listen to. Ask them for feedback consistently. Be open to feedback. Feedback is the breakfast of champions. I hope I've given you some things to think about. Click the link. Join me in Hollywood. Grab the book Redemption and learn about leadership of your own life and a business. And until we speak again, as always, stay awake, love life, and be epic.